Hey RCHS, I'm Emma.
And I'm Lexi.
And this edition of Lions Live starts right now. Here's an important video regarding COVID-19 information.
How to wear a mask. Step 1. Acquire the mask.
Step 2. Put the mask on correctly.
Moving on to step 3. How to properly confront people to wear a mask.
Would you mind putting up your mask?
Yes.
Thank you.
How not to react when someone's not wearing their mask properly.
As we approach the 20th anniversary of 9/11, we went around to ask staff about the impact of the tragic event on the United States.
I'm here with Mr. Marlatt. How did 9/11 affect the United States?
September 11, 2001 had a major impact on the United States. It's one of those world-changing, country-changing events that has had a major impact on everyday life of all American citizens in the last 20 years and will continue to do so into the future. It's changed how we view, air travel and safety and enemies throughout the world, and it's impacted, what we think about when we go to large events like concerts or sporting events, or when we travel or even go to large cities. It's impacted us militarily and changed the way we look at the world, and has led to a 20-year engagement in Afghanistan that we're just now getting out of, but is certainly not over. And the threat of terrorism is now something we think about on a daily basis as a country and as a society. And that's not going to change. And that's beyond the tragedy that occurred on that day and the loss of life and, the horror that people had to endure, at the time. We're still dealing with those issues, and we're going to continue to deal with those issues. And it's certainly something that will never be forgotten.
Okay, so I'm here with Mr. Osborne. So how did 9/11 affect the students?
I can just remember, I tell my students this, when 9/11 happened, I was actually teaching in my classroom, and I had a page come in and say, Mr. Osborne, did you know that the buildings in New York City are on fire, or the building was on fire? And so I turned it on CNN, and we kind of watched it. I remember just a lot of patriotism at that time. People really began to celebrate and think about first responders, policemen, firemen, military, and I always include teachers in there, how they're the most important people in our society that run into burning buildings to actually save our lives. And so I remember there being just a thought that those people really do a great service in our community. And being here at Rushville, it's our kids always, I think, kind of get into that and realize what's going on, and they did a great job with it, just doing some patriotic things.
This is Officer Bridges, and I'm going to ask him how security has changed in the United States since 9/11.
It's drastically changed. Pretty much prior to 9/11, you had the freedom to do and move wherever you wanted. Now security is tightened no matter what type of events, whether it's a sporting event, whether you're traveling by air, bus, train. All these motor conveyances have been tightened down, and your freedoms have been restricted, but it's for your own safety. And I think it's something that's probably going to get even more restrictive down the road.
So I'm here with Mr. Waller. So where were you when 9/11 happened?
I was working at the time for Elanco Animal Health, and when it came across the radio, everybody first thought was that it was a hoax. And the longer the radio broadcast went, everybody realized that it wasn't a hoax. And I mean, the people on the radio were actually very adamant about that. Hey, this is not a hoax. This is actually happening. So we were able to pull a TV into into our lunch area, and we turned the TV on, and we started watching all the national news feeds to see actually what was going on.
Ms. Spellman, Ms. Hornsby, so where were you guys during 9/11?
Well, I was actually in the cafeteria administering the I-STEP test that morning to a bunch of sophomores, so it was quite disturbing when we got that news.
And we came in, I was on break, someone relieved me, I went to the cafeteria, and Mrs. Welsh, who was the other counselor at the time, kind of broke the news that this had happened, and we knew that some airplanes had been hijacked, or airplanes had been hijacked. And I have a college friend who married a pilot for Delta, so automatically I was concerned about Michelle and her husband at that time.
My name is Lexi and I'm with Mr. Parent. So what was your initial reaction to what happened at on 9/11?
Shock, utter dismay. I had a person who came in who was a speaker who said, "We're under attack." I didn't know what that meant. And so we watched the television, and just horrifying to see that happen and just wonder what was going on. A lot of it was the fear of not knowing what was going on, what was going to happen next, I guess the question marks, and just the barbarity of the event. So, I mean, those were my initial reactions. It was really hard to put into words, and it was a scary day.
So I'm here with Mr. A. So how did you feel about when 9/11 happened, or the day after?
Okay, so I was on my way into work when I received information from my office that we were on lockdown. So I had to come in and go through a special door. And so when we got in there, then we found out what happened, because my home office was in Hoboken, New Jersey. So everything was closed in Hoboken, New Jersey, and so they closed our office at the same time, but we could not leave the office. We had to stay there until we got clearance to leave. So we left early. It was about like 1:15 in the afternoon. Went home, and we were told to stay home until we received information that we could return to work the next day. And so when we returned to work the next day, it was a normal day, except we could not use any of our computers or anything like that, because they were afraid that computers would be either hacked, or our server farm was in New Jersey, New York area, and so everything was kind of, there's no power to those servers at that time. So we were going to servers back in California, and it was taking so long. So it was really scary because we didn't know what was going on, and the information the day after, you didn't really know what happened until later on. So that's how everybody reacted in our office at that time.
Today for lunch, we'll be having Salisbury steak, mashed potatoes, green beans, roll, fruit, and as always, milk. The soup of the day is taco.
Homecoming tickets will be on sale from the 7th to the 10th. They are $15 each.
Yearbook order forms are available outside of room 159. You can also turn them back into the folder located outside of room 159. The $55 yearbook cost ends on November 5th, and the prices will then increase.
Now let's punch it to Don for a weather update.
Thanks, guys. It's currently drug testing day. It's also 63 with a high of 75 and a low of 64. That's it for me. Now back to the desk.
Now let's kick it to Rochi for sports.
Thanks, guys. Our boys and girls cross-country team traveled to Greenfield this Wednesday. The Lions came up third place and had 6 finishers in the top 20. Kyle Stanley in 7th, Charlie Starrett in 10th, Ryan Schindler in 15th, Wyatt Jacobs in 16th, Trenton Dyer in 19th, and Isaac Crodel in 20th. The Lady Lions finished in 4th and had 2 girls in the top 20. Savannah Westfall in 12th and Olivia Weir in 13th. Both teams' next meet will be Whiteland Invitational at 8:30 a.m. Saturday, September 11th. Sports action for tonight. Boys tennis will travel to Newcastle with a start time of 5. That's it for me. Now back to the desk.
That's it for us.
Have a great day, RCHS.